It's almost spring! Yay! Hello, how are you? Today I'm going to be reviewing everything I read in January and February of this year. Why January and February, you may ask? It's because I only read one book in January. And because I felt like it would be weird if I just had a monthly wrap-up where I only read one book, I felt like combining the two, so here we are. Let's get into it. The first book that I read this year, and also the only book that I read in January, was The Bronze Beasts by Roshni Chokshi. This is the third and final book in the Gilded Wolves trilogy, which is a YA historical fantasy series that began with the 2019 release of The Gilded Wolves. The series follows a wealthy hotelier who's been denied the inheritance that he believes is rightly his, and he's given a chance to get it back when the organization that basically gave him the boot commissions him to steal a valuable and powerful artifact, and it's all a trip from there, folks. This is the best book in the series, and I will fight anyone who says otherwise. Okay, I'm not actually gonna find anyone. Of course, I enjoyed the series as a whole, but the ending evolves into something that I personally would call spectacular and culminates in what is probably one of the most profound endings to a series I have read in a while. No spoilers, obviously, I'm not that mean. We're presented with a world that seems glamorous on the surface, made more so with the magic system known as forging, so like think moving chandeliers and wine pitchers that pour themselves with the power of the human mind or what have you. But you also get a look at an analysis, especially in the first book, of the ugly underbelly, and that does involve discussions of colonialism and all the other backward practices of the time being the 1890s. Everybody's character arc ends on a very satisfying note, neatly tied into a bow, I would say. There are a couple of plot points that I wish got resolved, but it's not that big of a deal. In any case, I do recommend the series if you're looking for a historical fantasy with 19th century heist vibes and unconventional magic systems, and also a cast of characters from all walks of life, flexing on archaic and obsolete institutions for 3 books straight while also vying for godhood. Well, okay, it's just one of them that considers godhood, but that's a whole other bubble park that requires a much deeper discussion. But I do recommend the series regardless. Next up is The Helm of Midnight by Marina Lostetter. This is the first book in the 5 Penalties trilogy, with the second book not coming out until April 2023? Okay, but seriously, I'm glad I read this when I did. The book begins with a group of thieves making off with, among at least one other artifact of forbidden power, the funerary mask of the most notorious serial killer to ever haunt the streets of the city-state of Lutador. Enter Krona and her team of regulators, aka glorified officers with big scary helmets, as they try to nab the person wearing the mask, going around and turning people into meat flowers. As the case unfolds, however, there are a number of shocking truths revealed concerning the true nature of magic, as well as the 5 gods of the continent of Arkansire. And what a truth that is! No spoilers. This was a very, very twisty book. It is high fantasy, or a book that's set in a world that isn't Earth, but there's also a very heavy murder mystery vibe to it. I mean, no surprise there. To say that this isn't for the faint of heart would be putting it a little lightly. People do get turned into human flowers and all that, with their arms sticking out and everything. And there were also discussions of grief and the likes in this book as well. The meat flowers might be something you're into, but if you're not into that, or any of the heavier topics that are discussed here, then, like, know your limits and all that. Maybe find something else if you think that might be best for you. But I'm personally very happy that I read this book. Not only that, but the magic system in this is what I would call a breath of fresh air. You've got currency in the form of other people's time, enchanters working within a very strict set of 4 different parameters based on the 4 known gods, the 5th being the aptly named unknown god, and masks with people's memories embedded inside them. That was probably the best part of the book for me, honestly. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the gender diversity, there being at least 5 different genders with their own sets of pronouns, which was scrumptious. But yeah, all in all, this was a fun read. I read 1 manga volume in the past 2 months, and that is the first volume of Moriarty the Patriot. As you could probably tell from the title, this is based on the Sherlock Holmes universe, and is supposedly the origin story of Sherlock Holmes' rival, Professor James Moriarty. I say that loosely because I don't really think this counts as canon, but I don't really think it matters either. I went into this almost completely blind, though I am somewhat familiar with the Sherlock Holmes universe, as I'm pretty sure, like, just about everyone out there is. That didn't hamper my enjoyment of it, though. I did give it 5 stars, and 5 stars are a rare occurrence for me regardless of the medium. It's literally just 3 men flexing on the ultra-classist upper echelons of society and stomping all over them. What more do you want? I also read one short story this month, courtesy of this anthology here. The short story in question being Flowers for Violet by Cleve F. Adams, originally published in Clue's Detective Stories in 1936. Now, having heard that, you're probably thinking, has it aged well? I can't really say that definitively, but I really enjoyed this, so I personally would say so, I guess. This is a short story about a former circus lady turned detective and her partner as they try to solve a nightclub case. Pineapples, car chases, and rivalries ensue. Something that I want to note is that the back of the anthology credits the main character Violet McDade as the first hard-boiled woman detective to ever grace the world of fiction. You'll love to see it. As of filming, I am halfway through These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. This is the first in a duology. I think there's a spin-off coming out this year. It's also a retelling of Romeo and Juliet, set in 1926 in Shanghai. It's got this enemies to lovers thing going on, or so I've heard, and there's also a weird monster plague going around and making people tear out their own throats. Spicy. For me, it's a little too soon to give my full, concise thoughts on this, but I can say with certainty that this is the kind of book that definitely picks up around the halfway point. Nothing wrong with that. If you like that sort of slow burn vibe, for lack of a better term, this might be the book for you. Also, if you like retellings. So that was my wrap-up for January and February. Not much, but like I said last time, I'm a slow reader. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you for watching to the end. Leave a duck emoji down in the comments below if you want to. Feel free to leave the books you read over the last 2 months in the comments. Also, I'm curious to see what people on here have been reading. My next video will be the BookTube newbie tag, so that's exciting. Like and subscribe if you want to see that. And, thanks for watching. Why is there a fly on my screen?